Steel and Flame, Book 1 of the Guilds of Avalanche series is available on Amazon. If you like fluffy wolf-lolly protagonists and Japanese light novels, follow the link below to check it out.
Hello, Leonardo Cornejo here, and today I wanted to talk about something that the idea came from this one of my subscribers, CM Gerdes, I think I pronounced it right, who mentioned that there was less of a reason to consume most of this Western entertainment, and that creating was new things was more inspiring. I don't remember the exact words, but that's basically what inspired this video. That new creators are better than the mainstream media, basically. And I began to think, why do I miss out on all this bad stuff, and sometimes stuff that you are told, hey, you come and watch The Witcher because it's good, and then they have the Blood Origins prequel, and you realize no, it's not worth it. Was a bait and switch. But at first everyone was like, oh, The Witcher is great, The Witcher is good. I was like, yeah, but I'm not that interested. I'm not watching it, and the Scrotum Armor is a big turn off for me, and I don't trust these guys, and I think it is a bait and switch. And I was right! Well, anyone who is paying attention will have noticed sooner or later. And now Henry Cavill is gone. And basically, well, I consume less and less of mainstream Western media, of mainstream television, mainstream video games every now and then, even though that's the thing I consume the most. And in general, I consume less of anything. I cut Hollywood completely because it was the easiest to cut. But it wasn't because I didn't have the time, since I work as an independent translator. I work basically freelance, and mostly on things that are really not that important. I'm the kind of guy who goes uncredited for translating an instruction manual, or who goes uncredited for translating from English to Spanish, for example, or for translating making an unofficial translation for private use. For example, I don't know, sometimes someone says, I need this, I can't read this article and I need it, and well, I am not going to use the machine translation, and I'm not finding the Spanish version, and I am not going to pay too much for it. So basically I say, well, I will translate it for you unofficially, and I will charge very little, but you can use it for commercial purpose. And officially it has never happened, so I don't get a credit for that. Basically, like fan translations of things, and for no commercial purposes. I don't go credited because of that. So basically, I have plenty of spare time because I don't need to leave my home to work, so I save a lot on commuting, and even then I don't always work. Sometimes I translate a manual, sometimes I don't have work. Sometimes I'm called from a translation company to translate an official document, but basically as uncredited. For example, I don't know. The hardest thing I had to do was translating and making a transcript and translating an interview from people of an NGO to indigenous people from Mexico. It was really hard. Sometimes these locals say things that are hard to understand. Sometimes they mix their language, which I don't understand, and I don't speak, and I don't read, with Spanish, so they make it really hard to understand what they are saying. Sometimes they will say things in their language, which I have to write as such in the transcript as spoken in a native language, in an indigenous language I don't understand. Or for example, I did recognize some words and I realized it was Nahuatl, so I put spoken in Nahuatl. And the people of the NGO sometimes spoke over them because they were fucking idiots. Yeah, sometimes the people from the NGO had worse manners. In a few times they were less understandable. I'm like, well, this is unintelligible, and I had to subsequently translate it to English from Spanish. At first, I make the transcript in Spanish from the audio, and I'm half deaf. Well, not really deaf, but I really have a bad hearing, especially when too many sounds mix. I overload and I don't understand anything. So when they were speaking over each other, and I'm like, I don't understand what they are saying. So it was a really hard thing. It was the most time-consuming job I had to make. I made a transcript in Spanish, then translated it to English. It wasn't easy. It was one of the hardest things I have ever done. I sleep deprived myself and went crazy. Temporary dementia. Well, not crazy, but I was so stressed I was acting in not the best of my manners. And it was at a time when I had a very bad situation. So basically my life was fucked, and I had to work on that. And I ended up with a sleep deprivation. It was a terrible situation, and I actually ended up quitting that agency afterward. I was like, I'm not working with you anymore. And I took a whole half a year of not working in translation anymore, focusing only on my books and on selling them and advertising them. I had published recently when that happened, like a month or two of publishing. So I basically quit the translation for a while, and I focused on my writing. And at that time, and every now and then, ever since then, I have plenty of time. For example, I completed translation of a manual from Chinglish, Chinese, machine translated to English from Chinese. Imagine how unintelligible some parts were. From Chinglish to Spanish, and one from English to Spanish. That was really crazy. It was I was working again with the same boss from that agency I quitted, but at another agency, because she left that agency shortly after, and moved on to another agency. And her superiors from the agency actually called me, and they were like, hey, do you want to work at her position? You were great, despite everything, you were great, so do you want her position now that she quitted? And I was like, I quitted before because I don't want to work here. So I went back to another agency with the same boss, but in another agency. And there I had to translate plenty of things from English to Spanish, from Chinglish to Spanish, and I had this weird ability of deciphering them, because I was used to those bad translations from machine translations from Chinese or Japanese to English. I was used to them for reading manga, especially ero manga. And my boss was like, how do you do it? How do you decipher these things and make them make sense in Spanish? And I'm like, I can tell you, but let's just say I'm used to it. I'm good at it. I'm used to this kind of messy translations of this horrible English, which was clearly taken from Chinese. And I was basically translating manuals for very dubious products. You know, these kind of things sold in stores that are like, I don't know, like holistic medicine. Well, not medicine, but technology. Like, for example, a humidifier, a very simple humidifier, which the manual described as a cure-all, basically, as it will cure all these problems because the spirit's in your body and stuff like that. You know, this kind of like a mix of holistic medicine with technology. You know, this water to purify your feet and things like that. You know, very stupid, useless things. And I was translating them. The reason I am telling this anecdote is to say I translated them really fast and had plenty of spare time. I had plenty of spare time to work on entertainment, but I to watch and consume entertainment, but I was not involved in it. Why? Because I was busy working in my novels, working in my YouTube channels, not just this one. I got two. I got this one in English and another one in Spanish, which has more videos. This one has monthly videos, and well, with Daigo I try to make more like maybe monthly videos. I mean, the VTuber part has more videos, but it has monthly videos, and the other one, the one in Spanish, has weekly videos. I prioritize the one in Spanish because it is easier, not because it is more profitable. Both are extremely unprofitable. Both are operating at a loss. The point is, I didn't bother watching many of these things that are like the new thing, the new exciting cool thing. Like, Leo, go watch this show, this film, this thing. It's new, it's cool, it's exciting, it's entertaining. And I am too busy writing. And I told my friends, the thing is, I'm writing and I don't feel like watching The Voice, so I'm writing and I won't watch The Voice until I'm done. I didn't watch it. I don't feel like watching Mandalorian because I'm writing, and until I'm done with writing, I won't be watching Mandalorian, and I didn't watch Mandalorian at all. Eventually I just didn't watch it. So I basically didn't watch most of these things because I was busy with my writing, with my entertainment, with my social life. I realized the more I worked on my novels, the less I wanted to watch these things. The more I write, the less I consume entertainment. There have been days. Currently I was facing some like issues which ruined my inspiration and kept me from writing at that pace. Currently there have been days in which I don't write at all because I have been too stressed for really personal reasons. Some of my audience will understand because they know. Others will be like, yeah, not my business, and really it's no one's business. And they are pretty much fixed already. They are improving already, but it was a really bad season. January, specifically, was when that happened. So the pacing of my writing got slower in January. And I was really stressed. I didn't write that much, but I'm recovering the pace and I'm starting to write again. But the thing is, when I was writing, specifically when I was writing Reagent and Toxicant and the third book in the Guilds of Avalanche series, which is yet to be published because I don't have the cover. Literally, it is ready. It has been edited like 3 times and I will edit it a 4th time before publishing. And I have read it over and over, and I pretty much read it whenever I'm working on another book. The title will be Relic and Revenant. It is almost basically all I need is the cover. And actually I was working also on the 4th book, which I won't give the title yet, and the 5th book, which is actually because the 4th turned out longer. I'm going to split it in half. And the 4th and 5th book, the 4th is basically complete, and the 5th book is the second half. So when I'm done with the second half, the 5th is complete of the Guilds of Avalanche series, and I stopped to focus on other books, and because of the problems I had. But the thing is, when I was working on the Guilds of Avalon series, I got plenty of time, which was only writing those books. Days, whole days of writing chapters, and I was like 3 chapters, 4 chapters, and I'm still writing and I'm still going. Sometimes I just wrote one, but sometimes I was like, I'm in the fucking zone and I'm writing 5 chapters a day. And especially with the last chapters, I was so excited. I wrote them all 4 or 5 chapters in a single day. And I wasn't watching TV, and I wasn't playing anything, and I wasn't doing anything other than writing. And in fact, when the Avengers Endgame movie came out, I wanted to watch it, but I was like, maybe not. And it was the last Marvel film I ever watched, because my relatives and especially my mother wanted to watch it, so we went as a group to watch it. And that's the last film, the last Marvel film I ever watched in my entire life. Haven't watched a single other Marvel film, and everyone was like these movies, live action films. I don't remember if I watched animated films later on, but for example they were like, oh no, you need to watch this Spider-Man film. I don't remember, Far From Home I think it was. I was like, yeah, maybe they say it's good, maybe I will watch it later, and I didn't watch it because I was busy writing. And that's the thing, the more you create, the less interested you are in consuming what other people create, especially if it doesn't really catch your attention. If it is something you really want to watch, really want to play, you will. But you start forming a big backlog because you are not that interested in the latest thing. And you wait 6 months, sometimes those 6 months become a year or more. It depends on how good it was, but the thing is, you don't watch it on release, you don't follow the hype, because you are too busy creating yourself something bigger, something better, something you are more motivated to. You follow your calling, and you are too busy to pay attention to this or that show which is allegedly good, but the next season might suck, which is for example what happened with The Witcher, what happened with The Mandalorian. That I'm told this show is good, yeah, well I might watch it later because I'm busy writing, and then but remember I told you about The Mandalorian, the new season isn't that good. Remember I told you about The Witcher, the new season sucks. I'm like, so I'm not watching it then. So I didn't have time when it was only 1 season and it was really good, and the new season sucks. I'm not watching it. I'm not wasting my time on it. Oh, remember this Marvel movie which was really good? The sequel is bad. Remember this Marvel film, since now that is the MCU and all that, everything is connected. Remember this film that was going to come out? Well, turns out it is connected to this series that is really bad. WandaVision, for example. Remember they were going to make a sequel to Doctor Strange? Well, it is connected to WandaVision, and WandaVision sucks. So then I'm not watching it. And that's what I tell them. Then I'm not watching it. And then I'm starting missing on all these things because they are all connected, and the new season, the new show, the show that connects to this show, the movie that connects to this movie, they suck. And I don't watch them because I don't have the time to watch all those things because I am creating. And if it wasn't because I was creating, I would be stuck in that cycle of, remember this show? Yeah, remember how much we liked it? Yeah, well, the new season sucks. But you are going to watch it anyway because you have the time, right? That's the thing. I have my job as a translator, which is not very fulfilling, but it's entertaining, it's amusing. I have stories to tell about it every now and then. Every now and then I find something interesting, but it's not that great. So I don't. How do I say it? I'm not extremely passionate about it. That's my point. I am not extremely passionate about translation. I like it, and I have some things to talk about in regards to it every now and then. And with all this situation with localizers being acting in bad faith, I have plenty to say with the knowledge, the theoretical knowledge I have to speak against them. But it is not something translation itself is not something I am that passionate about. So my job isn't entertainment to me. But my writing, which is like my second job, and my third would be YouTube, which is the only one I don't get. It's a voluntary task. It's a voluntary job, and I do think there is such a thing as voluntary jobs. Jobs you work for because you want to do something, even if you don't get paid for. Those are the things I'm passionate about: creating entertainment for the masses, telling stories, making these videos, which I consider part informative, part entertainment, part just an idiot trembling. I like that. I'm passionate about it. And when you are passionate about such things, you don't have time to be a consumer. I still like some things of entertainment. My money also goes to other places, to upgrading my computer, to paying for the covers when I can. Currently I can't afford it because of some personal issues which became a large expenditure, but for the cover of my books, for upgrading my computer, that's where my money goes, but it's not for basic needs, of course. I don't have that much money or time for those things I might like or I mildly like. That's why it was so easy for me to write off to write off all of Disney, because yeah, every now and then there comes out something that is like allegedly worth watching, or it isn't bad, and they are like, oh yeah, you might want to watch it because it is fun, but I don't have the drive to make time for it. That's my point. I still make time for other things that are entertainment, that are me not creating something, like having a social life, going out with friends, going out alone. It is incredibly entertaining sometimes to go to just take a long walk alone, and I get inspiration from that sometimes. I start coming up with ideas while I'm walking alone, and I'm like, oh, this sounds cool. I have time to watch content on YouTube sometimes while I'm writing. I have time to watch my favorite streamers, which basically consist of only Gargura and Larry Jingle and Eagle. Those are the only ones I actually try to set my schedule to watch them live. Sometimes, when something else doesn't get in the way, like social life. I even have time to, back in 2018, to have a girlfriend, which you say, well, then you are not one of those virgin losers. No, I had a girlfriend, and we ended up breaking up for reasons, and it was very time consuming, but it wasn't the reason we broke up. And that didn't affect. I still had my hobbies, I still had my entertainment, and I still wrote. Actually, it was when I started publishing, and that was one of the things she was like, that's cool. And in fact, she kind of influenced my behavior in regards to writing. For example, I tend to dress in rather formal attire when I go out in public. When I'm at home, normally I dress casually. This is basically like my sleepwear and my workout clothing, t-shirts and pants, sports pants or jeans, depending on the environment. But when I go out, I usually dress formally, with hats and suits and coats, formal wear or semi-formal. When I go out in public, I dress like that, and in large part it was because of her influence, because she was like, well, you are a writer, you gotta dress like a writer, and writers don't dress like normal people. Seriously, she said that. Writers don't dress like normal people, and you look cool when wearing formal clothing. I had a time for that when I was writing. I had a time for playing video games, to watch anime when I was writing. The reason I didn't invest that time on other things is because I was writing. Because if I was only working at my job as a translator, I would have a lot more time for me than if I was doing that and also creating content, creating entertainment, writing. Those things did change my schedule, and the things I put for later, the things I ended up putting for never because they were for later, the things I wasn't prioritizing and in the end abandoned, were things I find easy to leave behind. As I said, it is really easy to stop consuming mainstream Western entertainment, especially if you are doing something you care for. And that's the problem. That's why they want to demoralize you. That's why they mockingly say create your own, but don't expect you to. Because when you start creating your own, when you start doing, for example, what Raging Golden Eagle does, whose comic specifically Let's End the World is part of the entertainment I still consume. When you start doing what he's doing, he's creating comics. He has Blade Devil and Let's End the World, which Blade Devil I haven't read it because I don't have the money yet. Once I have the money, I will. I certainly will. I actually think about it. Why I write? So I can consume all this entertainment later, so I can afford it later. And that's the thing. I leave those things for later. And the things I really care for, I will watch them later. I will consume them later. And the things I don't care for, normally they ended up being forgotten entirely. Raging Golden Eagle gives this advice, which is related to it. Wait for 6 months. These things, they won't go away in 6 months. They won't go away in a year even. It's not like you will miss out on them if you don't watch them today, if you don't watch them on release, if you don't play them on release. Wait for 6 months and wait for the people to tell you if they are worth or not. And generally speaking, when you wait for 6 months, when you are busy doing something else in those 6 months, eventually in those 6 months, things like the MCU, things like The Last of Us, they become worthless because the next thing related to them is bad. And thanks to my writing, thanks to my YouTube channels, the wait for 6 months part becomes really easy. You don't need to worry about it anymore. You don't need to think, oh, but maybe in 6 months maybe I won't have the time, and today I do. No, it's the opposite. I don't have the time today because I'm writing, but maybe in 6 months, I will have the time to watch that movie, and then comes the sequel and it sucks. Another example, The Last of Us, a very popular game, and the first one allegedly great. I wouldn't play the second unless they pay me for it, and the first I will only play it if I get it for free. I wouldn't buy it because the second sucks. So I don't want to waste my time on the first, invest my time on the first, care for the first game if the second one sucks. So I'm not gonna play them yet because I'm not going to buy them. The Borderlands series, I didn't buy a single one of the games. I got them for free on a big giveaway. the second and third game, and the one called the pre-sequel, because these guys are idiots, which is basically like a spin-off. And I played them because they were on a giveaway, but I didn't bother buying them because I hate the people working on them. I hate Randy Pitchford, so I wasn't going to give them a single cent. And then they were giving them away, and I played them. They are good, not that good. The writing is bad. The writing is bad. The gameplay is good. The writing is bad. And I was like, well, that's it. I played them, moved on, because I was busy writing. So I only put them on my priority list when I got them for free, because of a giveaway. I don't spend money, and I don't spend much time. I put it on the lowest priority, on the media created by people who hate me, because I'm too busy writing. I'm too busy creating my own. And these activists, they know that's what happens when you create your own, and that's what bothers them. They don't want you to create your own. They will say it. They will say it in large part as an insult, in large part as mockery, in large part as intimidation. Create your own, make your own thing. And they say it in this evidently arrogant, obnoxious tone. Go and create your own. And when you do, it bothers them. They panic, because they don't expect you to do it. They know you are not likely to. They know creating your own is not something most people will do. They know most of you, most of us actually, will sometimes stop and settle for less, because we don't have the time for our hobbies, because we are depressed, busy with our work, and we don't have the time for our hobbies, and we are demoralized. That happened to me before I started writing. Writing is my calling. Writing is what I want to do with my life. Writing is my future, my past, and my present. At some point, I wasn't that inspired. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't have the drive as I do now. Because I was busy with college, because I was busy with other things that were less important. That's the reality. They were less important. And I didn't really bother trying to write. But one day I began to write. I really began to try it. And I realized I loved it. And I realized that was my calling. That was my reason for existing, my purpose. And I kept writing until I lost all interest in mainstream Western media, thanks to writing. It was my books which pulled me out of the system, because I was creating my own. They don't want you to create your own. They don't want you to stop watching the MCU. They don't want you to be too busy creating for yourself, so and without the will to watch their new garbage show, to watch whatever they are offering you now, Quantum Mania or whatever, and they don't want you to create your own, to stop consuming their things. They don't want you to make your own thing instead of consuming what they offer you, which won't be good. They don't want you creating your own movie, your own video game, your own comic, your own story, if that means you won't be playing The Last of Us 2. That's an example. I'm using it as an example because that's what pisses them off, that you won't consume what they make if you make your own. They really hate that. And I do still play video games, and I do still watch movies, and I do still consume things, but it's not the things the activists make most of the time. It's not how do I say it, mainstream Western entertainment most of the time, because it is in such a low priority compared to even cleaning my cat's litter box. I'm not exaggerating. Even cleaning my cat's litter box is on a higher priority than watching the next Spider-Man movie, which I'm missing out because I'm too busy. It's not that I hate them. It's not that I was told they were bad, because no, on the contrary, sometimes they tell me, no, but this one is good, it's incredible, this one is good, they still have it. I don't have the time for that. I don't have the time to play the game of bait and switch with these assholes. That's the truth, it's bait and switch. They give you this good thing, this one good thing, and then they go back to giving you crap. Then they go back to giving you this horrible She-Hulk show. They give you this interesting and exciting Daredevil show, and then switch back to giving you She-Hulk. I'm too busy for that. I'm too busy for their game of bait and switch. I'm too busy for their stupid shit, which doesn't entertain me. It doesn't entertain me, and I pay for the good thing. I'm too busy for this or that Netflix show, which will be used to fund cuties and Cowboy Bebop, because there is so much entertainment that between that, so much entertainment made by other people who are not part of Hollywood, and the entertainment I am making, I don't have the time for them. And that's why I'm telling you, you do need to create your own. It will liberate you from all this stupid shit they do, from all their ideology, from all their activism. It will give you the hope and opportunities you need and you want. All you need is to let go. Stop hesitating and stop prioritizing their entertainment. Make your own. Really make your own. Go out there and start creating, and you will have less time for them. You won't have time for this or that Marvel show, for this or that Marvel film, for this or that Disney movie, for whatever the Hollywood machine, the Hollywood propaganda machine wants you to make. I don't have time, for example, for knowing the latest trends in music. I haven't listened to a mainstream song from a pop artist, an American pop artist, in 10 years or more. Pretty much all I listen to are songs made by Japanese creators who are not even a band, an important band or something. They are like independent singers, guys who sung this opening for that anime, or guys who make things with Vocaloid, and they are famous, they are relevant, but they are not like these pop bands, like these big names internationally. They are known in Japan, and they are niche in the rest of the world. Because I don't have the time to listen to this or that current popular Western singer. For example, this fucking idiot Bad Bunny, I'm sure it's a psyop. I heard some people say that he's a psyop. Yes, he is, and I can prove it. Why? Because he sucks. Because his music, the lyrics are bad. His style is bad, and it is getting promoted in the US, in big first world countries. That kind of music is mocked here in Mexico as poor people music. It is seen as uncultured and vulgar, and for some reason it is promoted in America. I watch him in the Grammys and I'm like, why the fuck are you here? Why the fuck are you there? You are a fucking loser. You are a fucking idiot. Your music is bad, your style is bad, but he's woke. He's woke. He's one of those male feminists. And when I say one of those male feminists, I'm talking about the reset the clock kind of male feminist. That's the kind of guy Bad Bunny is. That's why they promote him. He's a psyop. He is there for political reasons. He's not there for his talent. He's not talented. He's not skilled. He's not good or entertaining, and he's a very nasty guy. He's a very unpleasant guy. There was actually a controversy with him because he dumped someone's phone, a fan's phone. This girl walked to him and she was like, "Oh, Bad Bunny, please fuck me in the ass." And he didn't care for her. She was trying to take a picture, a bit like a paparazzi, without all the paparazzo rather. It's Italian as far as I know. A bit like a paparazzo, but without all the dangerous stunts and all the harassment. But he grabbed her phone and threw it into I don't know if it was a pool or it was the open sea, but he threw it away like garbage, destroyed the phone, and she forgave him. That's fucked up. That's fucked up. I mean, really, that's sickening. She forgave him. She actually apologized for making him angry. Fucking horrible. And he was heavily criticized by sane people over here. Like pretty much everyone who isn't part of who hasn't fallen for the psyop was like, dude, that guy is an asshole. That's just vile, and it is. But he did what he did was horrible. Some even mentioned, well, that's destruction of private property. He could even get in legal trouble. He didn't, but he could, and he should. But the thing is, people here hate him. And he's promoted by all these companies. He's promoted by record labels, by mainstream media. Why? Because he is part of a psyop. And the psyop is this guy who has nothing of worth, who has no redeemable qualities, will be promoted in mainstream media for you to fall for it, to watch him, to enjoy him, according to the plan of the companies, of the mainstream media behind his fame. That's how they work. It's mostly psyops with these people. And I don't have the time for them. I don't have the time for consuming, for falling for their manipulation. Because I got better things to do. I got better music to listen to. Because their music doesn't inspire me. The mainstream media music in the West doesn't inspire me. So I'm listening to these songs which I like, which I actually like, and they are not part of the popular mainstream. I'm busy playing video games I actually like, instead of playing the latest thing. In fact, I didn't bother even trying to play or buying Hogwarts Legacy. I don't say it's a bad game. Of course, I disagree with all these psychos who say, oh, it's evil because Rowling is evil. She's evil, yes, but she's one of you. She's a fucking woke idiot who just happened to disagree with one thing. She's on your side. She's your problem. She's an idiot and she's evil because she's one of you. But the thing is, I don't care about the claims of transphobia and all that shit. I just didn't feel like playing the game. I found it suspicious that it was so polarizing. I will tell you a secret. I wasn't going to play a game to spite the wokies. And I do plan to eventually play Hogwarts Legacy if I am told after several years that it is good. But right now, I'm too busy. I'm too busy playing other things, writing, creating, working on those horrible manuals. Well, no more. They are no longer Chinglish manuals, fortunately, but bad manuals. I still translate bad manuals. I translate them as good as I can, but they are still horrible. On translating this article for some medicine student who is desperate because he doesn't know English. Things like that. I'm too busy with my real job, with my social life, with my friends and family. Well, family, more like relatives. But well, some of my family every now and then, with my sister, with my mother, my father. Even though we don't get along that much, we still interact every now and then. I kinda hate him because he's one of the idiot masses. He's kind of a useful idiot for the left, but well, at least we do kind of are getting along better now. He's realizing he's getting red pilled by how bad the left manages things. The thing is, I still get along with relatives, with friends, instead of consuming. I have other things in my life. Time is too short to be a consumer. I feel sorry for all these people who don't really have anything else, who are really, really, really obsessed with the MCU, because they clearly don't have anything else to connect with their, for connection with their friends and family and relatives, because they do use it to connect with people who don't have anything better to connect with people, who don't have any better hobby, who don't have any calling of their own, any sort of calling. And I consider my writing my calling in life. I don't consider it a hobby. Someone who was my love interest for a while called it a hobby, underestimated it because it wasn't profitable enough yet. But it is not a hobby, it's my calling. It's my reason to live. That's how I see my writing. If I stop writing, I die. I will be dead on the inside. Some people don't have it. Some people don't have that kind of life. They don't have another hobby which doesn't come from which comes from the inside. If they lost the mainstream media, they would have no hobbies, and that's the sad part. Because this is my hobby. These videos, they are my hobby. They are something I do for my goodwill, and that's it. I don't charge. I don't intend to charge. In fact, if you want to pay me, buy my books. That's what you can do to help me economically. I don't want you to pay for super chats or things like that, or for subscriptions or whatever, memberships. These channels are not even monetized yet. But if I could monetize them, I wouldn't ask you for money. I wouldn't ask you to subscribe, to join a membership, or to go to a live stream. I don't have plans of live streaming. Even as a VTuber, I don't have plans of live streaming yet. Maybe never. I don't really like live streams, so I don't really have the plans of doing it myself. And if I did, I wouldn't care about super chats. I wouldn't expect super chats. I don't want to make YouTube into my primary income source at any point in life. If it ever happens, it's because I fucking hit rock bottom and I don't have other income sources. But I don't want it to be my primary. I do it as a hobby. This is my hobby, and I can do it even if YouTube stopped existing. I will go somewhere else. I go here because this is the place where more people are at. But I could literally move to somewhere else instead of YouTube. And I don't feel this, like, how do I say it, like need of consuming mainstream entertainment, because I could make my own entertainment at any time. If suddenly I don't know, all the YouTubers I follow disappeared, all the entertainment I consume ceased to function for whatever reason, I could still write. I could still record these things. I couldn't stop. These are my hobbies. Writing is my calling in life, my motivation for living. And I have friends, not that many as I used to, because things happen. I have relatives, not that many, because things happen. Wokeness happens. I watch people around me and I lost them. But I still got friends, I still got relatives, I got a life offline, and I got my things that I create. And I don't need the other things. I can't let them go whenever I want. Even the things I still do, even the entertainment I still consume. Suddenly I just decided I don't want to, for whatever reason. I can leave it. Sometimes I don't play video games at all. I don't watch anything at all. I don't read anything at all because I'm writing or because I'm out with my friends. I go back to my home and go to sleep afterward. I think the primary reason most people don't stop consuming, they don't stop being consumers, is because they don't have anything else. Because if they stopped watching Marvel, because if they stopped watching this or that HBO show, they wouldn't have anything to connect with their friends. Their friends and they would be entirely disconnected. Their friend group would break. I have seen it actually. Friend groups which break because this or that show is over and they are no longer watching the same things, and they wouldn't have anything to entertain themselves with, and they don't have a calling. They are really fucking miserable. And that's what I think of all these people who collect Funkos, and of all those people who collect Funko Pop figures. They are empty on the inside, and it's sad. But they can free themselves from that. They can start again. And I hope they do. I hope they eventually do. I hope they free themselves from this prison, this mental prison. They start finding purpose in the things I really think they could benefit from. Creating their own, finding new hobbies they can make without resources, finding hobbies they can make on their own, finding their calling, bonding through something other than mainstream media. You know, the things that really matter. And when they do that, they can quit anytime. They stop being addicted. Entertainment is a way to... It's escapism most of the time. It's a way to carry the burden of daily life, of the daily grind of hardships. When you don't have a calling, when you don't have significant bonds, when you don't have personal, internal hobbies, you end up becoming a consumer because you are addicted to that escapism, because you are desperate for a release. But you can always overcome that. You can always free yourself. And I know, because I have been there. Because I didn't feel a sense or purpose in life until 2016 when I started writing. And I was just drifting, becoming a bit more resentful every year. I actually lost a bit of resentment because I abandoned the left, and I realized that most of my resentment was a byproduct of the ideology. But you become resentful and sad and alone, and start consuming to fill the gap, to fill the void. And I started writing. That void finally filled. When I started making YouTube channels, the boredom was gone for good. And I started to form better bonds with people. Some of them left, and I think it's because they are still afflicted by this emptiness, by this boredom, by this void. I hope they will heal, because I will never... if you cut ties with me, it's forever. I forgive. I forgive, but I don't forget. And when you cut ties with me, it's forever. I hope they will find their way out of it, because they will repeat the cycle. They will cut ties with people, they will be abandoned, then they will cut ties again, they will be abandoned. I feel sorry for them, because they are still trapped in the nihilistic, cynical world of the left, of the mainstream. And that's also why I can quit so easily these things, because many of them are cynical, they are nihilistic. Things like Rick and Morty, for example, they are really disheartening. They are really nihilistic. They are hopeless. And when I am writing, I write with hope and for hope. I write things that encourage you to move on, to live, to be better. One of the main themes in my works is the importance of loyalty. The good guys never betray each other. There are no love triangles, because it is all about loyalty. And that's because these works are not cynical, they are not nihilistic. As I said, Rick and Morty is an example because it is one of the most cynical and nihilistic things I have ever seen, and also the creators are woke. It is an example of everything I stand against, and of the advice: create your own so you won't consume this. This is the most vacuous, shallow, consumerist shit I have seen in years. And back then, when I hadn't published, when I was still trapped in the system, I consumed it. I did laugh at a few jokes, but eventually I pulled that nihilistic parasite out of my body, out of my mind, when I began to write, when I began to have a purpose in life. And I don't want to ever go back there again. I freed myself from the nonsense and madness that the mainstream media provide. And finally, I was happy. Finally, I was complete. There are some things I will miss, people I will never get back, things I regret. There are still things that hurt me, bad things that happen which obstruct my inspiration. But I have a sense of purpose. And when you have a sense of purpose, all that nihilism in the mainstream media, you stop liking it. You start looking at it and thinking, no, this is wrong, this can't be. And you start cutting ties with the mainstream. The way out is finding things that give you purpose, things that amuse you, things that make you happy. Things that are on the inside and not on the outside. That's what you need. And the part of the outside, the bonds with people, they are also important. They are still important. But the thing is, bonding without media, bonding without entertainment, bonding without all that outside influence. You don't need the next water cooler show to make friends. Pretty much all the entertainment I watch are things my friends don't know or don't even talk about. They don't care about them. But I have a calling, and some even say I have this charisma. Not everyone. As I said, some people ended up hating me because wokeness infested them, because veganism infested them, because of exterior influences. But there are people who say you have this gravitas, this presence, because you have hope. You are not precisely entertaining, you are not precisely exciting, you are not that cool, but you have hope. And that's what makes you different. That's what makes you cool. That's what makes you entertaining. Because you have hope. And that's the difference. That's the difference between me and between these people who have fallen into nihilism. Of course, you can't be guaranteed to be likable by everyone's standards. You won't be friends of everyone with. I'm not telling you will make friends all the time, but Ever since I pulled out of that nihilistic tendency, I actually not only became happier, that's how I met my girlfriend. That's how I had a relationship for the first time in my entire life. And it is important to point that I didn't have relationships before starting to write. I didn't have bonds of friendship. I didn't have a family. I was empty inside. I was empty on the inside before writing. Writing really became kind of like my reason to exist, my purpose in life. But it wasn't just because of writing. It wasn't just writing. It was everything in between, this sense of hope. Some people have said it, that I give them hope, that I have this hopeful presence. I was surprised at first. Now a year later, it makes sense to me, because it happened recently, by the way. It didn't happen right at the moment. It happened recently, and I realized they feel that because it is there, because it exists, because it is part of my personality. That's what finally clicked. I made these people who were hopeless feel hope because I have it. In fact, earlier today, I was talking to one of them, and this person says, "You are always so optimistic about things," and I'm like, "No, I'm not really that optimistic. I am just realistic." But I realized life isn't that bad. Things aren't that bad. I realized worrying about things that are not to worry about is a waste of time. And when you have a plan, and when you start thinking with hope, you seem optimistic, because most people have given up, and you are just being realistic. You are saying it is possible, but things aren't happening right now. Good things can happen. Why ruin your mood with the bad things that aren't happening, or that won't happen, or that can't happen? And you have a meaning, you have a purpose in life, so why feeling empty? Why letting others take that purpose away from you? I defeated nihilism by writing, and by defeating nihilism, I freed myself from the consumer's addiction. That's the point I'm trying to drive in. Create your own, find your purpose, do something with your life, and you will no longer have time to be addicted to mainstream media as a way to escape the nihilistic prison mainstream media has brought upon you. Be a creator and free yourself from the cage of malice and nihilism, which other creators, who happen to also be leftists, imposed upon you. Free yourself from the prison created by people like Sam Smith, like Dan Harmon, like Randy Pitchford, by becoming a creator who has hope in his soul. Don't be the consumer, perpetually tormented by the hopelessness mainstream media shows. Become the person whose entertainment gives hope to the masses. Become the person whose art, whose creation, or even just another calling, I don't know, maybe your calling is carpentry, or your calling is medicine. But the thing is, become a person whose work follows a purpose, a calling from the inside, which gives hope and motivation to those around them, and whose calling is strong enough to keep this person motivated even at the darkest hour, and therefore brings you hope too. Follow that path of hope instead of the path of nihilism the mainstream wants you to. All that is for today. Have a nice one. Where is it? There.